All right, here we are once again for one more episode of Live Limitless. And today we have some very interesting experts and people with different insights and different areas of expertise sharing with us. And we'll be talking about this cool thing called courage. The word
Correct.
courage itself sounds a little different than other words. And courage is something like it's the choice and the willingness to confront, maybe it is agony or pain or danger, uncertainty, or even intimidation. Like that's when we need courage. And doing business needs courage, learning needs courage, going out for on adventures. I mean, today business is all about adventures as well, so going out on adventures needs courage. Valor is courage, or courage is also sometimes called as bravery or lack of fear. Let's explore this word courage and understand what meaning it has with some of the experts here on this call today. Let me introduce the guest speakers here on this session today. First, let me introduce you to Ish Anand. And Ish is an entrepreneur. He's a CXO and a motivator and an ecosystem builder. And he works with startups, with young students and college kids and all sorts of people who are in the startup industry. And he's a builder who believes that the only pressure he feels is the one he puts on himself to win. That's what he is, and he's known to say very popular on these ideas. And welcome to the show, Ish. Nice to have you.
Thanks, Ram. Thank you very much,
And
Ram. It's a pleasure to be here.
absolutely. And today we also have Dr. Pratima Khandelwal, and
Hello.
she is the founder of an MSME unit called Fly High in Bangalore, in Bengaluru, in India, and she is also into capacity building initiatives for teachers and students, both these communities at schools and higher educational institutions. Welcome to the show, Dr. Pratima.
Thank you so much, Ram. Wonderful to be once again with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we also had Florin coming up due to some technical issues. He is not online yet, but maybe before we, hopefully before we end the show, he'll come online. So as soon as he's online and he's able to, we are able to see him log in, I will make a quick introduction. And we also have Jagdish Bailwal with us. And Jagdish is a veteran of Tata Motors and General Electric, and he has been a very successful CIO in his career as well. And he is, I would say, innovative. He's kind of a first principle thinker and dares to be different. I mean, you should see his posts on LinkedIn. I mean, you will come to know. And he takes those the stakeholders, I mean, along exclusively and inclusively with deep empathy. And welcome to the show, Jagdish.
Thanks, Ram. It's
Nice to have all of you here. And as we all know, today it's all about the theme or topic of today's discussion is going to be courage. And we had a quick introduction about courage. But let me start asking our guests here, and let me start asking Ish here first. What is the true meaning of courage? Ish, what do you think is the true meaning of courage? Because it's different for different people. What do you think about courage?
Thanks, Ram. So, my firm belief is that courage is displayed in two methods. One is the physical, as well as the other being the mental, and it's essentially an ability for you to deal with unpleasant or unforeseen circumstances or situations, and it's the way you deal with it that you show courage. There's no very clear definition as such, but I think it's a state of mind. It's a state of mind and body where it depends upon how you deal with various situations. So crisply, if I were to put it, state of mind or state of physical being on how you deal with the situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that reminds me of my early time in my career when I was like so scared to speak on stages. Like that was so terrifying. And always my mentors used to tell me, "Oh, be courageous, go speak, nothing will happen." Like that. I mean, there are different levels to that. Dr. Pratima, what do you think is the meaning of courage for you in your?
Yeah, thanks, Ram. Completely syncing with Ish, I'll say that courage is all about mental capacities. It's all in the thought process, which translates into first behavior followed by action. So it starts completely with the mental process. When the way we talk to ourselves, the way we contemplate the things coming, what exactly information which we have. Courage is the one thing which will really give us wider dimension to try out. So to me, courage is the base or the fundamental to try out new things. It could be in any way in home, as you were beautifully mentioning minutes before. It could be for any or everything, in fact. It starts with this. See. So it's a beautiful thing which we really can have thinking about it and really making it happen slowly but surely. This courage to me.
Got it, got it. I mean, it's easier said than done, like, especially when we are going through the phases where we have to muster up courage. Let's ask Jagdish. Jagdish, what do you think is courage in your words? Like, what's your perspective on this?
So I think courage is the ability to say yes, where the conventional wisdom and the tradition, conventional wisdom, and everybody around you is saying no,
And probably the other way around also.
and the other way around as well.
Even sometimes we all face that dilemma situation where we say yes instead of saying no. Like we had to say no, but we somehow said yes, and then those to say no is also, like, I was reading a book recently, James. I forgot the name of the author, and he said very beautifully. He was telling, like, sometimes it takes a lot of courage to say no, and you have to take that courage to say no, because saying yes all the time will probably drain your energy, resources, everything away from you, from the important things that you want to do. What's another word that could come to your mind when you think about courage? I mean, this question is for all the speakers.
Okay. Interesting. I'll take a shot.
Yes, go ahead.
It's a state of mind. I think if I were to, sum it up in that one, short burst, it's definitely a state of mind. And like, Pratima put it earlier, the mind guides the body. And, when fear strikes you or when you get into unpleasant situations, you like to think first. And once you think, your body goes down the road based on what your thought process is. Yeah, you don't get very much time to process it, but all the same, you react. And it's that state of mind. So I think if I were to put it very crisply, state of mind is that word.
I will say, to me, it is very similar, but I'll say mental strength.
Mental strength.
Yeah, courage is mental strength in one word, in the sense. Yeah.
Jagdish, would you have another word for courage?
Yeah, I would say seeking discomfort zones. So, seeking discomfort zones. I am kind of, if all of you have read Jonathan Livingston Seagull, it's such a symbolic book that everybody's after that, after, like, the day's food and all, and this guy, just he's wanting to, like, just break out of it and do, just keep going faster and faster, deeper and deeper, and then and it's all like breaking out of the comfort zone that everybody is in. So
why do you think people hesitate to break out of comfort zone?
I think it's fears generally. So if I have to sort of put it in different words, maybe taking the discussion a little forward.
Yes, please.
As really intrigued by this topic of courage, and I was like, what leads to courage? I think there's an internal factor and there's an external factor. So internal factor is confidence, right? So you have to have confidence in your ability, right? The second thing is that you have to have faith, right? Mm-hmm. It's like it may be in anything. It may be in nature, God, whoever you want. And the third thing is you have to have trust in people around you, that they will support you as you try to do something different. So it's confidence, faith, and trust.
Confidence, faith, and trust. Do you agree, Dr. Pratima? Or do you want to
Quite
add
much.
anything
Yeah,
else to this?
exactly. I was thinking when I was listening to Jagdish. Wonderful point you mentioned. Now, to me, when it comes to comfort zone, it really happens that we are so much in sync with what we have. We are not at all experimentative. We adapt to the ongoing situation so beautifully that we become no risk taker. So courage could be there, but we have not used it or experimented with it. I'll just exemplify. Most of the people who tend to become an entrepreneur, in my own story, I took some good time, and I was mentioning to you, pandemic helped me. But the aspect that yes, I have to do is was very much there. There was no
Hmm.
lack of confidence, but yes, to an extent, I was less experimentative, perhaps because of ongoing responsibilities or whatever. So, in general, especially today's youngster, why we see so beautiful colors of rainbow through the Indian startups now. Because yes, our younger guys are quite experimentative and open to risks. So once we do that, they are ready to come out of the comfort zone. And why? When they experiment, the results they will get, there are very high likelihood that again they may be very happy to see and pat their own backs that yes, I experimented, I did something new, I innovated. And this way they lead as well. So to follow is less courage. To lead, to take the risk is more courage. It's
More
something like that.
courage.
It's not that it is no courage in even job as well. We really need to have. But yes, the complete bandwidth is expanded, I would say, both wider and
Absolutely.
deeper when it comes to
Absolutely.
courage. Yes.
And when we talk about bandwidth, we see that the one end of the spectrum is like adventure, the other end of the spectrum is safety.
Say,
But humans by nature, they always go towards, I mean, they can't sit quiet, right? Three, if you even if simple things like if you sit quiet for 3 years, you'll become a millionaire. But no, people won't do that because inherently we are all adventurous in nature, and that's what probably has brought us to this top of the the animal kingdom, if you want to say that or give that as an example. And Ish, you have been working with the
yeah,
startup industry for quite some time, and
yeah,
startup itself, the ecosystem, when we look at starting up something, so it involves a lot of uncertainty, like we don't know, and a lot of risks are there. Comfort zone is like we had to throw it away. So what is or why do you think courage is important in such situations?
So, I think, a lot of it has to do with Indians by nature, certain parts of India by nature being very entrepreneurial, or any entrepreneurial streak anybody has is always combined with some amount of risk taking. So that's one part. The second part is, I think, today, in today's day and age, in today's culture, I think things are changing. The younger generation has a lot more by way of exposure. They have a lot more by way of options. And what's happening, what's very, very critical, and what's happening, and I mean, I'm going to restrict myself specifically to the Indian environment, because parents, society, etc., plays a very, very, very large role in what you see the younger generation doing. Yeah. And I think now more than ever, I think there's realization that being an entrepreneur, or being a startup evangelist, or being somebody who wants to get into being an employer instead of an employee, is no longer a bad word. Yeah, I remember when I tried to do my first startup, and that touchwood, that company actually went on to to see an IPO.
Wow.
My respected father, who's no longer there, but he didn't speak to me for almost a month. He says, I mean, you come from a family where all of us have had great jobs. We've had stable salaries. Why
Yes.
do you want to leave everything? And I was doing exceptionally well in my career. And, it's, why do you want to leave a stable job and, start off something where you don't know where your next paycheck is going to come, and this, that. So I said, look, Dad, I mean, this is my opportunity. Yeah. And I want to take this risk, because if I don't take this risk, I don't know. I may not.
Exactly.
I may not be able to look myself in the eye and say, "Hey, I wasn't courageous enough to be able to go out there and do it on my own." So I said, "Let me go out and do it. I still have my life, I still have my career, and I still have my reputation in business to come back and say, hey, give me a job. I went wrong at my entrepreneurial venture. So I think I think you've got to give the next generation, which is the elder generation of parents, of elders, also some amount of credit in what's happening in society today. Uh,
That's right.
Kids are venturing out. They are more courageous because parents are today willing to tell them, hey, listen, go out and do something that you're passionate about. Yeah, passion plays a very, very large role. And
Absolutely.
I think the younger generation, they know a lot more than we do. They have a lot more by way of options. They're also passionate about what they do. Probably we were not as passionate about some things that we did at our stages, our early stages in life. But the younger generation is definitely passionate. I look at
True.
my
Yeah, I
I look at
totally
my own
agree.
son. I look at my own son. I look at a lot of
Uh-huh.
entrepreneurs around me, and I think these are the guys who've got it for themselves. They've got support. They need to plan. They need to be guided well. And I think that's where people like us come in, who can share some experiences, who can give them a lot of guidance. There's a very interesting story I will tell you about my own son, but a little later on. So please go ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing these insights. And you said about one thing that had me think about what you said was like thinking about not knowing stuff. Like that there is something that we don't know, and this not knowing can lead people to generate fear, or it can also lead people to generate courage on the other end of the other side of not knowing. One side it is, oh, I don't know how startup will be like, how entrepreneurship will be like, so I'm scared. That is one thought process. The other process, I don't know what's there, maybe there are some good things out there. Okay, I will, let me, that curiosity kicks in. And probably curiosity could be the cure for lack of courage. We don't know. Let's ask Jagdish, is there a story of you when you had to muster courage when everything else said no, like you had to muster courage to say yes? But is there anything that you would like to share in this area? I think you are on mute.
You're on mute, Jagdish. So,
Sorry. So, there's something that I want to talk about someday, maybe at a larger forum. This was actually, I had been to Kailash Mansarovar in 2007. I mean, that itself was like, so everyone in my family is religious, my mother and my wife and everyone. And they were like, have you gone crazy? I'm like, if you believe in God, then if you trust God, then why are you questioning me? you pray him, you pray him to take care of me. Okay. Anyway, so then, so when I was going there, one of the things I had prepared well, and I had said that not going to ride a pony. Okay, so you always have an option because a pony is running next to you. And about when we were returning, about 45 kilometers before, we were like to get back on the bus before the trek was to end. I sprained my foot,
Oh. Mm.
and my left foot swelled. We were actually playing cricket, and I slipped, and my left foot was swollen. And I kind of figured out that it's not a fracture. So, and I had taken this vow that I'm going to not ride a pony. And that's when, like, everybody was like so sympathetic, and that oh, what you have done it so far despite all the sort of all the tough challenges and all. How are you going to do it? I said, I'm going to do it. Let's see. So the first 2 kilometers was tough. The next day, I mean, I had crepe bandage and all kinds of ointments on, and I couldn't really walk. And they had to, like, everybody basically went 2 kilometers. Then they waited for me to catch up, and then then I think something happened, and I went ahead of the pack, and we had the best tracker in our group. I told him, I said, sir, just allow me to be to walk with you. And that day I kind of took a vow that today I'm going to master limping. So I look at it. So I said, it's an opportunity to master limping today. And I kind
Okay.
of figured out, the best way to put your foot down in, I mean, with the least pain. I iterated on that, and then I kind of just limped along. And the two of us were the first to reach the next camp, 18 kilometers away. And
Fantastic.
Awesome. Fantastic,
the next
fantastic.
day,
Nice,
the next day,
nice.
the next day was another about 25 kilometers. And I think by then I had mastered limping, so I kind of nursed my foot for the entire day. And next day again, it was another 25 kilometers. So about 45
Wow.
kilometers I've limped all the way
Wow.
between
Wow.
the mountains. So
Awesome,
this was
awesome.
like, I would say, nobody ever, whether it's doctors or whether it is my own colleagues, my own fellow trekkers, or anyone would have told me to do that. But I was like, okay, I mean, if I really can't make it, then I'll be anyway carried. So let me try this.
That's right. And by the way, we have Florin Carrere here, who was able to, manage some technical glitches, I guess. Hi, Florin. Nice to have you here.
Hi Ram, hi Dr. Pratima, hi Jajish, hi Ish. Nice to meet
Hello.
all of you and
Hi.
all your
Wonderful,
audience.
wonderful.
Good.
Great.
Awesome.
Eh,
And
eh,
Florin is popularly known as the business matchmaking guru. Is an advisor to business owners who want to scale up their business through equity or through debt or fundraising by improving their systems and process. Florin, welcome to the show as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me and
And
nice to
as you,
meet all of you.
yeah, and as you know, like we were talking about courage, and we were discussing what courage is and how it goes. What let me ask you, like since you just had to log in now. I mean, my question to you is, what is a courageous person to you,
Well, my example is Richard Branson because
Branson?
Richard Branson, the CEO of Virgin Group, because even if he has all this kind of disability, not disability, let's say like this, because he's dyslexic, but even if it has
Yeah,
this problem, this didn't stop him to be successful, because he understood that he need a team around him that is specialist in different areas, and by the end of the day, a successful business is made out of a team, and how good you are as a leader, how you can manage, and you can lead the team as a good leader, not as a manager. And I think courage, it means that you are able to step down and leave someone else that is better than you, and manage better that kind of department or your company. You just need the right advisors, and you need mentors. And I think you need to have courage to be able to step down and do not
oh
be
yeah,
the powerhouse of the business. Just find the better people than you and give them the power and empower them.
absolutely. That takes a lot of courage. I totally agree. And my next question would is to Ish. Ish, what would a 80-year-old you say about courage?
What would an 80-year-old me say about? Okay, firstly, I want to reach the age of 80. So that that to me would be the most courageous thing the day I become 80. So that's number one. Number two is an 80-year-old me would would see courage as me still feeling the way I feel when I'm 40 or I'm 50, or working and talking with people around me and in the ecosystem in a similar manner as I did probably 40 years ago, and thinking in that way. So, it's like we said, a lot of it is guided by your mind. It's all there, up here. You know,
That's
it's a
right.
state
That's
of
right.
mind. Yeah. So I think if I can make sure that my state of mind is still what it was when I was 40 years old or 30 years or whatever, and I'm able to and I'm able to work, and I'm able to talk to people, and I'm able to guide people in the same way. Yeah, that for me will be a very, very courageous 80-year-old. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it'll be an 80-year-old who says that life must go on, and
Life
things
must go
don't
on.
change. Yeah, things don't change just because you get older by a year or by 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. So that for
Great.
me would be an 80-year-old.
I mean, you should ask kids who are learning how to ride a bike. I mean, we as probably teachers or mentors, hey, nothing is going to happen, you just go ride, you remove your training wheels, you are off, you just balance, it is good, nothing will happen, just go ride. And you should ask the kid who is trying to learn. I mean, the kid is so
Yeah,
scared to let go of
yeah.
the hand,
Very
let go
true.
of the, yeah, the training wheels. And my next question is to Dr. Pratima here. And what would a 10-year-old you say about courage? I mean, you have not
Oh,
experienced
great.
life at all as a 10-year-old. What would be your understanding about
Yes.
courage?
Wonderful. So thank you. You made me feel much younger now as a 10-year-old, putting myself in the shoe of a 10-year-old. Well, I like to say ability to express if I'm not comfortable, as to say a no, to try out new things. Let me fail, let me drop things, let me break few things. But the
Wow.
courage to a 10-year-old will be still ability to say, oh, I failed, and it's okay. Somebody telling me, or at least I learning my way to say, it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's more importantly to get up after failing. So if that kind can come in the younger childhood, it will really fill the colors in the coming years much, much more beautiful. So I wish 10-year-old can be that strong. To me,
And
that
my
is.
next question is for all the speakers. I mean, anyone can jump in with your insights. How to become more courageous?
I think give me
I'll,
a
Acha,
give
please.
Pratima, you go ahead first. You're ladies first
You
always.
are
So
Okay,
looking.
thanks.
You are the top, like in the screen. So let's go ahead.
please go ahead, Pratima.
Okay,
How to become
great,
more
great.
courageous?
Yeah, I just felt enthusiastic, so I just raised hand. Fine. Um, to become more courageous is to analyze first, to identify what I'm going to do or what I wish to do. So it starts with a little open mind and ability to identify, sort out, analyze, evaluate, and then take up the decision. Because most of us fail in courage is all because of lack of complete data, and we try to do something. So courage is automatic, or it may really automatically come in much higher quantum if the base is ready in terms of enough information and ability to experiment, as we just discussed minutes before, to be risk
Florin, what do you
taker,
think?
to be
What,
experimentative.
what do you
Well,
think about how to become more courageous?
well, I think it's important to take out of your mind the word failure, because indeed you
Ah,
never fail if you stop. So you fail only when you stop. So you should think about feedback, and you can have positive feedback or negative feedback. And exactly like Bob Proctor said, is important. How do you program your subconscious mind about failure? So basically, it's important to consider as any unsuccess like a step in being better and being successful, because a success is not a destination, is a journey.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. When it is a journey, we are already successful. All of us are because we are all on our journeys.
Yes.
Jagdish,
absolutely.
Yeah, so
Jagdish.
most people, who I have mentored, when they would kind of bring out all kinds of concerns, and so I had just one message for them to be courageous. I said I'll ask you three questions, okay? And if the answer to all of them is no, then just go and do it. So first one,
Go ahead.
is this going to risk? Are you going to risk losing your life? Are you going to risk losing your limb, or are you going to risk losing your job? If the answer, if these three extremities are not going to be there, just go ahead and do that.
Wow,
I think
cool.
yeah. Yeah, Ram, I really want to take what Jagdish mentioned, and I want to kind of quote an example. So I think failure is a learning experience. So the moment you get the fear of
Yes.
failure out of your mind, I think you're already halfway through. That's point number one. The next point is, you see, you have to experiment with life at different stages in your entire growth, in your entire development, your entire career, in your entire family life. And I think it's a mixture of what you do in your family life and what you do in your professional life that dictates a lot of this. I always talk about my son in this, and I wanted to give that example because, forget him being my son today at the end of the day, but since the age of 12, that guy was absolutely passionate about one particular sport, and that was the game of lawn tennis, which
Uh-huh.
India was never really very, very well known for producing world champions. But he came to me one day and he said, Dad, I want to play the sport. I said, go ahead, play it. Like any other parent, I said, go ahead, play it. He continued playing it. We gave him the rackets, we gave him the kit, we gave him everything. He'd go for a class, come back, be happy. Until a few years down the road, when he was about 11, 10 or 11, he said, Dad, I want to be coached professionally in this sport. So
Oh.
I said,
Mhm.
fair enough. I said, we'll send you to a class and everything. Um, then one day he comes around and says, Dad, I want to be a sportsman. That's the
Mm.
career I want to follow. So
Mm.
that was the time when I got a bit of a shock of my life to start with.
Okay.
And I said, and in the Indian context, I said, sportsman, like any other, parents in India, sportsman, how are you going to make a career out of this? You know, you can't earn you can't earn a living from this. I mean,
Exactly.
what the hell? So he said, no, 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 I want to play this. So I said, fine, play it. Me and my wife spoke, and we had a chat, and both of us were a little worried, but ultimately both of us sat down because this kid was so passionate about it. He was
Hmm.
so passionate about it, and he was beginning to do well in the sport. So we said, let's encourage him. We encouraged him. We said, as long as it doesn't hit your studies, go ahead and keep doing it. We encouraged him until
Awesome.
until a few months down the road. One of my friends who's represented the country in the sport watched him play and told me, Ish, this kid has potential. If
Hmm.
he's really
Nice.
passionate about it, you should encourage him with it. So
Exactly.
So I repeated this to my wife. So my
Uh-huh.
wife said, "What nonsense!" She said, "What nonsense?" And so, uh, and the kid was good in studies also. So she
Hmm.
said, "Let him study and let him do his." So I said, "Look, if he's passionate about it and if this is what he really wants to do, yeah, let us put aside our fears and let him do it." Okay. so
Fantastic.
so
Fantastic.
so we took one step at a time, and we said, let him do it. So he did it
Hmm.
until another few months down the road, he started doing exceptionally well at the sport. And this friend of mine who has represented the country, he told me, he says, Ish, if he's really serious about this, send him to a professionally run academy where
Yeah.
he's going to have a coach, he's going to have an entire curriculum. They will teach him right from the word go. He will spend 5, 6, 7 hours a day on court, and then he will need to manage his studies side by side. Now, that was a big decision for all of us.
Exactly.
But but
Exactly.
at the end of the day, yeah, we decided to take him down to a couple of these academies, get him to play, see what life is for himself. So, like Pratima said, you must have data, you must be able to analyze it, see it practically. So we did all that. We went through that process. We
Awesome.
went
Awesome.
through that process. We showed him
Great.
the entire wide variety. We showed him how tough the life of a sportsman can be. Because we all think sports is extremely glamorous. But let me assure you, being the father of a sports person, I can tell you it's not
Right.
glamorous. It's an extremely tough life.
Not
So
easy.
he looked at all this, he did it for 3 months, and he said, Dad, I want to do this. So that was the big time. So
Good. Good.
what it meant was us separating as a family, my wife and him going and living in another city, going to an academy, and me living in another city so that I can carry on my job. Yeah. And us seeing each other once in 15 days or once a month or whatever it is. Yeah. It was a challenge, but we said, let's go ahead and do it because he's
Do
passionate
it.
about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. He
And that.
continued to do it. And today, almost 7 years down the road,
Wow.
uh, the child is touchwood. He's become an exceptional player.
Awesome.
He did extremely well in the sport in India. He's now
Hmm.
living in Spain, working
Uh-huh.
with a European coach, and
Very nice. Hmm.
his his rankings
Wow.
in Spain have gone up exceptionally over the last 6 months. Yeah, it's because the child himself or the individual himself has has got that passion, that this is what I want to do, and has
Exactly.
planned it and put in a lot of hard work. So
Yeah.
parents, well-wishers, elders can only support you, they can only guide you, they can only put resources on the table. But at the end of the day, I think, like in anything else in life, even in entrepreneurship, I think it's the will that you have within yourself. Are you passionate
Absolutely.
about it? Are
Absolutely.
you willing to plan? Are you willing to take risks? I think
Yeah.
that's what makes you courageous at the end of the day. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
So
I
let
think
me
I've
let
taken
me
a lot
just
of,
quickly. We are overshot the time by 5 minutes now, but I don't want to let go. I want to ask Florin, like, how do you encourage others? How do you bring about courage, or how do you make other people courageous? One last question to Florin.
Well, first of all, I'm so impressed by the Ish story. Well done. You are a very wonderful parent. So it is a very good example about motivating your kids. And I think by the end of the time, you need to supply the resources, and the kids need to have the passion in order to make sure that they are successful. And I think by being a good parent, you are also a good entrepreneur, because your employees, you need to look at like your children, and you need to grow them, because if they do not grow inside your company, they will leave. Because by the end of the time, we do not work with the company, we work with people, and you need to
People.
be a lovable leader in your business, and try to support your employees, to grow your employees, and make them to understand that they are not just your employees, but also your, maybe in the future, your possible partners that you can work with, because you try to identify who is best to lead your company, and you can step back and enjoy your life, because it's not just about business, but also about creating the systems in your business to make your business really not depending on you.
That's really important, and that also takes a lot of courage. And
Yes.
also leaders create other leaders, because that's when it becomes
Absolutely.
an organization. That's when. And I'm not sure I want to stop this, but considering the time limit we have already like 8 minutes overshot, but I'm sure people are going to like this in spite of taking more time. And I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you here, Dr. Pratima, Jagdish, Florin,
Pleasure,
and
really.
Age. Thank you for
Namaste.
sharing
Thank
your
you.
Wonderful to
stories, your
associate.
insights,
Thank
and
you.
your
Pleasure.
perspectives. And thanks for joining us on this wonderful episode of Courage. And I'm hoping that people will like this. And I'm also, if anybody has any questions, although we cannot take questions directly on this simulcast because it is going simultaneously live on different platforms, but I'm going to take all the questions you may have, the viewers, to anybody in this panel. If you have any questions, just put it wherever you are watching this video. I will go take these questions and get you the answers that you want from the experts here on the panel here. Thank you very much once again for
thank
joining
you,
us
Ram.
on this episode of Courage.
Thanks, everybody.
Wonderful.
See
And
Thank you
you.
so
sorry
much,
I've
Ram.
taken too much of time.
Yes,
It
definitely.
was a good story to listen to, and that can bring a lot of hope and help to so many people.
Yes.
By the way,
Absolutely.
Ram, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. You are a very good, good organizer of events, and I really love this event. Looking forward to the next ones. Nice to meet all of you.
Yeah, hopefully
Thank
Same
we'll
here.
you.
Nice to
get
meet
back
you.
Thank
again
you.
for another episode on another
Absolutely.
topic.
See you.
Absolutely. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
Bye
for
much.
bye.
joining.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.